Are you looking for quick Christmas crochet ideas that look advanced but are easy enough for a beginner? These fast crochet poinsettia coasters are for you. Hi, it's Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Today we're going to whip up these easy crochet poinsettia coasters in less than an hour. And these easy Christmas crochet coasters look detailed and festive, but the pattern is beginner-friendly and uses simple stitches. In this video, you'll see the step-by-step process to make a classic poinsettia flower and nice clean edges, and it also finishes to lay nice and flat. For this easy crochet poinsettia coaster for Christmas, I just used regular size 4 worsted weight acrylic yarn. Actually, for the yellow, I used size 2 weight. I just used scraps, and I used 2 strands together, but you could just use regular old acrylic. And also, if you don't want to use yellow, you want a more classic look, you could just start the center with white. If you enjoy this easy Christmas crochet project, hit subscribe for more quick patterns and cozy home makes. You just need tiny little bits. You need 2 grams of yellow, 1 gram of green, and 10 grams of red. I also used a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a pair of scissors and a needle for sewing in your ends. Here are the timestamps. You can jump back into where you left off, and let's get started. To make your easy crochet poinsettia coaster, we're going to start with our yellow center. So grab your yellow yarn and just hold it over your non-dominant hand and just pinch it down on your ring finger with your thumb. Wrap it around 2 fingers, making an X, and bring it around that 3rd finger, just sliding it underneath your thumb as well. Turn your hand over and you're going to have 2 strands, a short one and a long one. Grab your crochet hook, hook side facing down. Slide it underneath the short strand and on top of the long strand. Bring the long strand under the short strand and point the hook towards yourself up on the fat part of your hook. Release your thumb a little bit so that long strand can slide and turn your hook away from yourself, underneath that long strand. Pinch everything underneath your hook and bring that long strand through that loop. Let go and there is your magic ring. Now to start, we're going to chain 2. That does not count as a stitch in this pattern, and we're going to make all of our stitches into the center of our ring going over our tail. We're going to make 12 double crochets into the center of our ring, working over our tail. And if your tail gets too short, just go ahead and pull it so we don't lose it. We will always want to be working over our tail. So you can pause the video and keep working along. 12 double crochets into the center of our ring, going over our tail, and I'll meet you when you've done your 12 double crochets. You can just cover up that chain with your thumb and then make sure you have 12 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then pull your tail to shrink up that ring. Nice and snug. And now we're ready to slip stitch into the top of our first real double crochet to join. So if you just ignore our chain, this is our chain, we're ignoring it. Top of our first double crochet, right there is where we're going to join. So slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet and chain 2. 1 and 2. Again, this doesn't count as a stitch. Into the same stitch right here, we're going to make 2 double crochets. So 2 double crochets into that same stitch. 1 and 2. Into the next stitch, we're going to do 3 double crochets, all into the same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next stitch, 2 double crochets. We're going to alternate doing 2 double crochets, 3 double crochets, 2 double crochets, 3 double crochets, all the way around. And you will end up with 3 double crochets into that last stitch. So now you can pause the video and keep working along. doing 2 double crochets into one stitch and 3 double crochets into the next, all the way around, and I'll meet you when you get right back over here where we began. When you get back to that last stitch, you should end up with 3 double crochets into that last stitch. If your stitch count is different, it's okay. It's a flower. It's going to be fine. In a perfect world, you end up with 3 double crochets into that last stitch. And again, we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first double crochet, which is right there. So slip stitch into the first real double crochet. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. And cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. And that finishes the center of our poinsettia coaster. Now we're going to do the green round. You can just pop your crochet hook into any stitch. Loop of your new color on your hook. Bring it through. Slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail. You can just hold it along the top edge of your work and chain 1. This does count as our first single crochet. And into the next stitch, you can work over your tail if you feel like it. 1 single crochet. And we're going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So every stitch gets a single crochet, including where we joined. So when you get to your knot or your chain 1, we're going to go into that stitch before with your single crochet, and we're going to go into that stitch after. Just push your hook in and single crochet. Those tails out of the way. And 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So you can pause the video, keep working around, 1 single crochet into each stitch, and I'll meet you when you get right back over here where we began. If you'd like to follow along with the written pattern, all of my patterns are available on my website, secretyarnery.com, and all of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I was sitting there right beside you. When you get back to where we began, make your last single crochet into that last stitch. And now we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain to join. So into the chain, you want 2 strands on the top of your hook, slip stitch to join, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to skip a stitch. So we're going to skip this stitch right here and work into the second with 1 single crochet. Chain 2, skip 2, and into the third, 1 single crochet. Chain 2, skip 2, and into the third, 1 single crochet. And now we're going to chain 2 and skip 1. So into the second stitch, 1 single crochet. Now the repeat for working around is chain 2, skip 2, chain 2, skip 2, and chain 2, skip 1. So we're just going to do that all the way around. So I've just done my chain 2, skip 1. So I'm going to chain 2 and skip 2 twice. So chaining 2, skipping 2, single crochet into the third. Chaining 2, skipping 2, single crochet into the third. Chaining 2, skipping 1, single crochet into the third. This is going to help our petals just have the right distance, just be a little bit unique. So chaining 2, skipping 2, chaining 2, skipping 2, single crochet into the third, and chaining 2 and skipping 1, single crochet into the second. So we're going to do that all the way around until we get back to where we started right there. And when you get back to where we started, it's not going to work out absolutely perfect. We're going to have 4 stitches left. So we're just going to go do our regular chain 2, and we can either skip 1 and go into the second, or we can skip 2 and go into the third. Doesn't matter. And then for this last stitch, we're going to chain 2 and just skip that last stitch. And now we're going to slip stitch into our first chain. We're going to slip stitch into our first chain to join. So just pop your hook in. You want 2 strands on the top of your hook and slip stitch. And don't worry if it's all dished up like mine is. That is how mine is, and it's going to work out great. Chain 1 to secure your yarn, and then cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. So that finishes the green round. Now we are ready to start the petals. So grab a loop of your red yarn, and you can pop your hook in to any stitch. So we want to find a single crochet. See that single crochet, any stitch, just like that. Loop of yarn on your hook. Bring it through, slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail. You can hold it along the edge of your work. And we're not going to chain or anything. We're just going to go straight into this space. So we worked into our stitch. Now into the next space, we're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. So there's my first double crochet, my second double crochet, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into that same space. 1 and 2. And now into the stitch, we're going to slip stitch to pin that down. So into the stitch, slip stitch, and into the next space, 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into that same space. 1 and 2. Now into our stitch, right there, we're going to slip stitch to pin it down. And jump straight on over to the next space, making our starting petal. So that is 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets into the space. There's 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into the space. And then into that stitch right there, slip stitch to pin it down. You can pause the video, keep working along. 2 double crochets, chain 1 into the space, and slip stitch into the stitch to pin it down. You can pause the video, keep working all the way around, and I'll meet you when you get right back over here where we began. When you get back to where we began, we're just going to make our slip stitch into the legs of this first stitch right there. Just going to go into the legs and slip stitch like that. And to start the next round, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And now look for that chain space in the center of that petal. And we're going to go in and do 2 double crochets, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to do a picot. So I'm just going to go into this first stitch right there, underneath both those strands, and slip stitch. And that's going to make our picot. So underneath those 2 strands, slip stitch, and 2 more double crochets into that same space. 1 and 2. I have a little bit of fuzz on my yarn. There we go. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do a front post slip stitch around this stitch. We're just going to put our crochet hook under and out, and we're going to slip stitch around. So back, all the way to the back, and then all the way back out the front. And we're just going to slip stitch around that post. So 1 slip stitch and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That starts the next petal, and then jump straight into the next space on the next petal, and we're going to do our 2 double crochets, chain 3 picot, and 2 double crochets into the same space. So there's my 2 double crochets, chain 3. Now you can picot and go into the chain, or you can picot and go into this stitch. For me, I'm going to picot into the stitch, so it's a little bit pointier. Into those 2 front loops, slip stitch to picot, and 2 more double crochets into that same space. Chain 3 to get back down. And now around that post, around that next stitch, put your hook in before and bring it up after, and slip stitch. I'm just folding my coaster in half so it's out of the way, and just slip stitch, just like that, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And that covers up that stitch really nice and gives us a really nice circle around the edge. This petal right there you can see. So now into the center of our stitch, 2 double crochets, chain 3, picot into the top of that stitch, so those 2 front loops, picot. So that's just a slip stitch, and then 2 double crochets into the same space, 1 and 2, chain 3 to get down, and we're going to slip stitch around this post, and chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So now we're ready to start another petal right here. Now into the center of that next petal, that chain space, we're going to make our 2 double crochets, chain 3, slip stitch into those 2 front loops to make a picot, and 2 more double crochets into that same space. 1 and 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch around that stitch. Front post slip stitch around that stitch, and chain 3 again to start your next petal. So you can pause the video, keep working around, and I'll meet you when you get right back over here where we began. When you get back to where we began, we're going to do our last front post slip stitch right where we began. Just this stitch right there. So just go around to do a front post slip stitch, and chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through, snug that down to secure. Sew in your tails, and you're finished. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video up there, and stay hooked.